so much, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Wilson Uwajaran, the spokesperson of the EFCC, the anti-graft agency, has been talking to us on the program. Also, Mr. Yinka Odumaki has been talking to us also. Let's get some final clarity with Mr. Uwajaran. The question I was putting to you before that break was the reason why the EFCC will put up a crack team for the SGF. Do you need a crack team to break just one man to talk?
Well, you know that the media likes to use language. What we have is a team that will investigate the former SGF, but people in the newsroom have coined the word crack, which for me doesn't really make any difference, whether it's crack or no crack. But the team has been set up by the Commission because we are aware of the issues surrounding that investigation. It has generated so much controversy nationally, and so we are determined to get it right as far as the investigation is concerned and ensure that justice is done at the end of the day.
Mr. Uwajaran, do you have the report from the Vice President?
The investigation is just commencing, and I know that once we get on the issues, all material evidence relevant to the investigation will be available to us, and we will do justice to it.
Okay, the question is, do you have the report from the Vice President?
I can't come on television to tell you what document we have and what we don't have, but I can assure you that every material evidence that is necessary for us to do a proper investigation of that case will be made available to us. And those ones that doesn't have to come from official sources, we will on our own source those evidence to ensure that we have a complete case by the time we'll be heading to court.
Is Mr. Ayoke in your custody, himself and his wife?
At the moment, not. But we have extended invitation to them, and I'm sure they will honor that invitation.
Okay, they've never appeared before the EFCC?
In the past, I think the wife was questioned when we started the investigation, but formally the invitation has been extended to them following the government pronouncement regarding the status of the husband, that is the former DG of NIA, Mr. Oke. Both the wife and the husband have been formally invited because we need to ask them additional questions based on things that have unraveled since the last time the Commission put a stop to the investigation.
Okay, I will allow you to go now, but this very last one, Mr. Minor, have you been able to reach him, or do you know where his whereabouts now?
We are on his trail. We are not relenting. We have opened all channels of communication, and we have linked up with several law enforcement agencies, both internally and outside the country, to ensure that we get him. Whatever he is, he knows that he's a wanted man. And I also use this opportunity to even appeal to Nigerians who, anybody that sees him, you have the responsibility as a citizen of this country to alert law enforcement. You can report to the nearest police station or even any EFCC offices that is closest to you. Mena is wanted, and we are not relenting in our effort to get him.
Wilson Uwajaran, spokesperson of the EFCC. Thank you so much for your time, as always. Thank you so much. Let's bring into the conversation now Mr. Daniel Buala, a lawyer, as well as much we have Mr. Yinka Odumaki in here. From the explanation that from Mr. Uwajaran, are you satisfied that the work has been done?
Well, from what you have said, really, we are not just apprehensive for nothing. He said that you talk about people jumping on. You can see that there's no jumping on. From what he said now, yes, there have been extended invitations to Oke and his wife. But it's only a crack team that's in existence for Babaji Lawal, as you are talking.
He said an investigative team.
But no invitation yet.
He did say that...
He said that there's a crack team in place, but no invitation yet. Why?
Okay, let's get a sense of the law here. Mr. Daniel Buala is a lawyer, a member of the Lincolns in London. He joins us now. Thank you so much, Mr. Buala. From your experience of law, the EFCC is doing its work?
Well, thank you for having me. I don't want to be prejudicial as to the reason why EFCC is delaying inviting Babaji, but there is no basis for the delay, to be honest. This is a case that has been on for some time, it is expected that since Economic and Financial Crimes Commission have access to accounts, they ought to have right from the beginning been doing all the investigation. So much so that as soon as he's dismissed, it will be the easiest thing for them to invite him for questioning. After all, when you are invited by EFCC, it doesn't mean that day you come that you'll be arrested. So they could have invited him along with OK. But what I don't know is the basis behind the crack thing. And I don't want to be prejudicial about that. And I also regrettably would say that I think that Afenifere or any group at this point should not try to trivialize or tribalize this anti-corruption fight. One thing is for sure. There is no way this case will go under the carpet. Nigerians are overly waiting to see what will happen. So while I believe that EFCC will do the right thing, I do not think the idea of inviting OK and his wife and not inviting Babachir at the moment is justifiable. I don't think so.
In the legal parlance, okay, let me just put this. We know that the perspectives to the SGF matter is highly political. We do know. And one may not be surprised in the manner in which the OKs have gone over the last few weeks. Do you think this is a usual kind of corruption case that the EFCC is used to? This is a senior officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria who was sacked from office. Do you think that the EFCC will handle this case just as normal? Politically exposed person, indeed.
First of all, the Constitution is clear, or rather the law is clear on the rule of law. Rule of law means everybody is equal before the law. So whether the person is the former SGF or the person is a councillor in a local government, it doesn't matter. And secondly, I don't think that his own is political and there is anything that suggests that his own is different from that of OK. It is corruption. There is a finding of fact by a Senate committee that sat. And that report of the Senate committee ought to have been to a large extent an assistance to EFCC. And then secondly, there is also a finding of fact by the committee set up by the president, the vice president, and the national security advisor and the attorney general. Their report sadly ought to be evidence for the EFCC. And it is simple administratively. Just write a letter requesting for the report. And then you spring into action. So I don't think there's anything political about it. And nobody is above the law.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Daniel Buwala. Let me allow you, Mr. Odumakin, to close the thought here. The Afenifere has laid his complaints on the table. It looks so much that the EFCC heard you. They took action. Yes. But now, going forward, what do you think should be happening?
Going forward, we want an even application of the law and the processes. Don't treat one specially and the other one in a way. And to respond to Daniel, there's no tribalization here. We have said that we are not against OK being investigated, but we are saying that what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. You cannot treat one specially, and because we have to be apprehensive. We are talking about just Maina now. Maina was a fugitive wanted, came back to this country, reinstated, promoted, and somebody's. So we are saying, all we are saying, yes, we are not saying that don't investigate OK. Investigate him. Everything should be equal, but as advising him, don't spare Lawal. That's our position.
Mr. Yinka Odumakin, it's always a pleasure having you, spokesperson of Afenifere. Thank you so much, Mr.
My pleasure.
Mr. Daniel Buwala, many thanks, a friend of the house. Thanks so much for joining us. Also, we had Wilson Owaja, spokesperson of the EFCC, and that's how much we can go. We can give you tonight on the program. We will come back on Sunday Politics. Till then, I'm Sean Kimale. Bye for now, everyone.